Okay, we're up to today's daf is Sotah Daf Yotes, and we're in Yud Ches Amid Beis 2, 4, 6, 8, 11 lines in the bottom. So Tan Rabbanan, Zeis Teiras Haknois. This is the Torah the parsha of Haknois. Now the Lord Teiras is mashma more than one. It's Teiras, not Torah, Teiras. Malamet Shaisha Shaisa B'Shaina, that a woman can drink and repeat again. In other words, if the husband pashtus would warn her again, then she would drink again. Like it's not a one trick pony, right? Rabbi Yehuda says no, Zos. When it says Zos, Sheni Shaisa B'Shaina, a woman does not go ahead and drink again. So Rabbi Yehuda. You might remember him from Baba Kama. Baba Kama, his kid fell in a pit, and they said she died, and she came and she said, how'd she get out of the pit? She said that an old man with the Ayel, it was the Ayel of Yitzchak, and it was Avram Avinu, and he said it wasn't possible. And when he said that, he used to dig pits for people who oil the regel, that she would die in the pit that he dug, oil the regel. Okay, we didn't learn that Gemara, so I'm just okay. So I feel bad that
we'll get to it, won't
we? Yeah, with Baba Kama, that's Hashem, and hopefully you'll be here that night, right? Sha'is.
You warned me the night before.
Yeah. What? Haifa digging shichin water system, right? Sha'isha shaisa b'shayna b'kiblu, right? That you could do the second time, right? I do the kiblu I do say, and then makabel is either now b'shnei anashim, but two separate men. Avaloi b'yishecha, not one person. Okay, in that case, so now, guys, we have two things. We have the word toiras. We have the word toiras, which is an inclusion, and zois, which is an exclusion. So I put out a bunch of things today. If you have your phone, go to your phone. So I have a lot of stuff out here today. Okay, well, you're not looking. Right. Okay, so the first thing is my handwriting. Okay, so we could see it on the screen over here. Make it big. You see it? So it's a Sotah test. It's a Sotah test, and we have 3 opinions and 4 scenarios. Good. So now, we got it, guys. My handwriting, the blue handwriting. It's an old chart. It's a 30-year-old chart. Got it? Nope. I didn't send it out. No, I didn't send it out then. You don't know my handwriting? Huh? Nope. I didn't send it out. Okay, so I will send it out. I send it out right now, not a problem. So it was okay, no, so you need a third thing. So let's send it out to WhatsApp. Okay, now you should be getting something else.
Yes.
Okay, so now there's 3 opinions: the Tanakama, the Chacham, and Rabbi Yehuda, and there's 4 scenarios going across the top. 1 husband and 1 boil, 2 husbands and 2 boilim, 1 husband and 2 boilim, or 2 husbands and 1 boil. Okay, those are the possibilities. Now, everyone's moida, 1 husband, 1 boil going down. No. Everyone is moda. No. That what? That. Okay, guys, you can see this, guys, on the screen. You can see it. Okay, yeah. Now, so everyone's moida that you don't repeat, guys. When it's 1 husband with the same husband, same boil, you're not going to repeat. Everyone's moida if it's a second husband and a second boil that you do repeat, because it's a whole new ballpark. Okay, what? No, 2 husband and 2 boilim. No, 2 husband, 2 boilim. Right. You're going to get, that's the 4th column. That's machlokes. That's the 4th column, Ari, what you're describing. 1 husband and 2 boilim, then you have machlokes. 2 husbands and 1 boilim, then you have a machlokes. Good. So let's go to Shita of the Tanakama. That's the most Chamadik Shita. He holds that the miyut is only on the one husband, one boil, but the ribui would include anything else but. In other words, as long as you have two in the equation, be it two husbands or two boilim, or two husbands and one boil, doesn't make a difference, right? Or one husband, two boilim, you're going to be included. That what? Once it's not one and one, you'll be included. Okay, that's the ribu of Toiras. That's the ribu of Toiras. Now the Chachamim, they're the most lenient. They say that what? That the miyut applies to everything except one case. The miyut applies to scenario 1, 3, and 4, but the middle, yes, where everyone's maida. The most psharadik shita is Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda says the miyut applies to one husband, one boil, and one husband. In other words, we will exclude drinking as long as it's the same husband. We'll exclude drinking a second time as long as one husband. Once it's what? It's two husbands, even if it's one boil, then you will go ahead and drink. Okay? That's it. What? Meaning if you give Kina Vistira, she's not going to drink. Right? No, I mean, again, well, no, I guess she would be asa, right? Yes, she would be asa. Yeah, if she doesn't drink, she's asa. Right. Yeah, she's asa. Yeah. The chayv should be asa, right? Okay, so so let's see that inside. Let's see it inside the Gemara now. Okay, guys, you have it in front of you. We'll see inside the Gemara. It says the Gemara. The Tanakama Nami Haksiv Zeis Amiyat, Rabbanan Basroi, the less Rabbanan Nami Haksiv Tairas Riboy, Samarava now. The Ish Echad, a boil Echad, 1 and 1, Puliamle Pligi, Dainisha Shoisa Vishina. She's not going to drink again. Dichsiv Zeis. Bishnei Anoshim, Ushtei Boilim, 2 husbands, 2 Boilim, Puliamle Pligi, Disha Shoisa Vishina. She'll drink again. That's clearly on the chart, guys, right? No down the first column. Yes, down the second column. Good. When's the machlokes? Right. Lay pligi. The column might be he pligi beish echad shnei boilim, 1 husband and 2 separate boilim, or b'shnei anashim u'boil echad. Tanakama Sava Tairas l'riboy kula. Tairas includes everything, right? And therefore, across the board, it's yes, with one exclusion. Zois l'maute ish echad u'boil echad. That's the sheet of the Tanakama, guys, right? You're looking at it. No, on that's the Zois. 1 husband, and the reboy across the board, yes. Next. The Rabbanan Basroi, the Chachamim, the middle share, Savar, Zois is Lamute Kulai. Zois takes everything out of the ballpark, guys. So, and therefore, the reboy is Shnei Nashim Shnei Boilim. Take a look at the chart. Everything's out. No. The only thing that's in what is 2 and 2. Finally, Rabbi Yehuda, Zois Lamute Tarti. Zois comes to go ahead Mimayat Tarti, 2, and Torah is the Rabbi's Tarti, and Torah comes to include 2. Zois l'mu'utei Tarti. What are you coming to exclude? Ish echad boil echad, ish echad shnei boilim. As long as it's the same husband, even if it's the same boilim, you're out. Torah l'riboy, what's Torah's come to be married is Tarti. Shnei anashim boil echad, shnei anashim shnei boilim. In other words, the criteria being the husband. If it's the same husband, you're out. If it's a different husband, you're in. Right. That's very nice. The chart's there. Zeis, Hajjan Lecha Haya Maybe, Hajjan Lecha Haya Maybe. Okay, now we got that out of there. Okay, new parak. Now, I did put out another something else. The psukim. You got it from the Torah? You have the psukim from the Torah? Okay. So we're going, the Masech is going according to the Seder of the Parsha, guys. So we left off that they were moichik, because of a Sefer Torah Zois. We had the machlokes. What exactly did they write? We had 3 shitas. Did they write everything except for Hishka? They wrote the Ishbia, and then we had Rabbi Yehuda shita, just the klala, Brachas. We had all the shitas. Now we're picking it up over here in Pasuk Chavdalit. The Hishka es Isha esmei amorim hamarim, and they would give the woman to drink these waters. We come inside her and be bitter. Okay, now The kohen would take from the hand of the isha the carbon mincha, which we described earlier, right? She's bringing a mincha. Guys, remember the unique mincha? What's it made out of? Barley. What doesn't it have? Shemen and levina. It doesn't have shemen and levina. It's the minchas chareva. It's the minchas chayta, right? And so therefore, you would take that. They'd wave it. The hikr vaysa el mizbeach, and they'd bring it to the mizbeach. Good. So it's mashma. Then the kamatz hikr is agasha. The kamatz hakoyim in aminches as karasa. He goes ahead and takes the kamitza. The hikr mizbeach, he burns it. V'yacha, and afterwards yashkas isha samayim. Now you got a problem. You told me a pasuk of Talid the hishkas isha, and now you're saying after the mincha you're drinking. Guys, did the drink before the mincha or after the mincha? You have apparently in the pasuk, if you go according literally, apparently she drank before. Yet the pasuk states openly, v'acha, then she drinks. So this is one of the problems we're going to deal with this evening. And finally, pasuk of Zayin, a third time, the hishkes hamayim, v'hoisem nitnes v'timamal, and so on and so forth. Okay, so it's clearly based upon this. The question that we have at hand: did you bring the mincha before the hashaka or afterwards? Before she drank or after she drank? When did you bring it? When did you go and bring the carbon mincha? Okay, so we're up to the new parak. We're up to the new parak. Let's see what we got. Okay. I don't know if I should thank you or not. Huh? Okay. The penny thing. Want to see all the penny? Okay. Anyway. Okay. Says the new parak, guys. It would take her mincha. Mitoich kfifa mitzris. Remember, she did a ma'aseh behema. We use a cheap thing, a cheap wicker Egyptian straw thing, as opposed to what a kli of kesav azav. The nice take klishares, you would take it and put it in a klishares. The nice al yada, and you put it on her hands. The kohen meiniach yada mitachteha, and the kohen would put his hand underneath her hands. Umeinifa, and they would wave it. We'll see Taisus in a second. What about how's he touching a woman? Right? The practicality over here. The higish kaimitz, he goes. You bring the kamatz, the hikdir, and he either we have a guess of malicha, but we'll keep. And he would burn it. After the kamitza and it's burned, then the shirayim is mutter like any other carbon mincha. Once you do the kaimitz, then it's permissible what the shirayim. Hayamashke, first they give it a drink, the akach makruv es minchasa, and then they would go ahead what and be the mincha. So in other words, according to this, primacy is given over to the first lashon of a hishka, correct? Like we saw in pasuk Chav Daled. Okay. And Reb Shimon Omer makriv es minchasa. No, first you bring the carbon mincha, v'yakach hayamashke, then she would drink. Shenemar v'yacha yashke seisha samayim. Guys, this is the last mention of that we just saw. This is the number 3. It says v'acha yashke seisha samayim im hishka v'yakach hikar es minchasa kshera. However, it says Reb Shimon, if you give it a drink and afterwards you do the mincha, bidi evidence with kasha. Lechatchila, you should go ahead what and bring the mincha first and then drink. However, if you go ahead and drink and then bring the mincha, it will be kasha. Now be aware, everyone holds that it won't work. The mayim won't work unless the mincha is brought. If it's brought before, then it'll work right away. And if it's brought afterwards, it'll only work after the kaimitz. In other words, if you drank before, it wouldn't do anything. Maskeris oven, it's called the mentioning of an iniquity. Keep in mind, it always has to be the carbon itself, the mincha. She's not blowing up unless you bring that carbon. She's not blowing up unless you bring that carbon. Now, what about this? The waving of like, how do you accomplish it? So let's see the Taisus, the second Taisus. The kohen menichas yada tachteha, hay ditzrich sul misli v'kohen menichas yada b'tachteha like a tani b'stam u'machnas yada lashmina detnufa b'kohen. Now you shall me. The kohen menichas yada tachteha. Fred Taisus, isn't that something that is like not geschmack? It's a davakir that the kohen would be again waving the hands of the woman, touching the woman. So says the Gemara, okay. either you bring a mappa and it won't be chaitzitz. In other words, you bring a mappa between her hands and the kohen's hands, and it will be considered chatzitza. Or maybe kohen zaken. An old kohen would do, again, I guess he could touch her, and it would not be caused here avera. Va'afilu tema kohen yeled, shein yetzahara mitzuya l'shah. That the yetzahara is not mat, found l'shah. The big Torah, guys, about in the Beis Hamikdash where there is a yetzahara or not. There's a Meshech Chacham in Parshas Kedoshim. It says, you know what goes ahead and breaks the yetzahara is derech eretz when you work. So he holds that that's why b'shasa regel, that's why you have bahab. Because shasa regel, when you're not working, the yetzahara is burning in you. Shabbos, that's why Shabbos also, the yetzahara is on Shabbos. Beis Hamikdash was not derech eretz either. So he also was worse than the Beis Hamikdash. He says it was worse than the Beis Hamikdash. Right? Again, in general, not everyone was working there. I mean, not everyone was working. But again, I saw a pshat. I think this makes the most sense to me. I wish I remembered who I saw it from. It says that the kohen should put his hands underneath the Isha's hands. The Isha would take the side of the kli, and the kohen would take the bottom of the kli. The kohen's hands underneath the Isha's hands, and you don't have a problem. The problem without any Torah, right? Without any Torah. The woman takes the sides, the kohen goes underneath. You need his hands underneath the woman's hands. You have that, and you don't have the nakiya of touching the woman. That would be such a mahalach to go ahead and deal with this issue. Very interesting. Okay. Rabbi Yishaya Didare. Now, Rashi brings over here very interesting lashon. Rabbi Yishaya of his generation. Rabbi Yishaya, the Tana, was about Plukta Rabbi Yonason. Rabbi Loza is Rabbi Loza ben Padas, the Talmud Muvik of Rabbi Yochanan, the big Talmud Rabbi Yochanan, right? So, in a second, Rabbi Loza says to Rabbi Yishaya, like Tiyasev Akroyach, do not sit on your knees until you explain the following. Now, if he was speaking to the Tana, he would never speak to him in such a way. So obviously, it had to be a contemporary. So the Torah is going to get the Torah Shabbat Peh, the Gemara is going to teach you what this isn't Rabbi Yishaya the Gadol. This is Rabbi Yishaya the Dore of the generation of Elazar ben Pados, right? Who was a contemporary, who was an Amoira, and therefore he could speak to him in such a way. What did he say to him? How do you know the minchas soita requires tenufa, waving? The Hainif, it says openly, the Hainif Akayin, it says it openly in the Parsha. We just did it. It says the Gemara, no, the Gemara says Bebailim Minalan. Guys, what was the lashon? What was the lashon of the pasuk? The lashon of the pasuk was the Hainif es haminchel fnei Hashem, the hikra sel mizbech pasuk chavhei. There's no mention of the Baal. I would say literally. So the kohen goes and waves it. Where the Mishnah says that he's waving it with the Isha? Guys, where does that come from? Right? Where does that come from? It just says he waves it. Look, guys, on the screen. If you're looking at pasuk chavhei, if you're not lazy enough to look at your phone, right? I try to give you a shulchan aruch in the. So you look at your phone and pasuk chavhei. What does it say? Okay, so it says it says you wave it, right? Okay, so that's what it says by. So the Gemara wants to know. Good, I know you need tenufa, but how do you know you need bebailim? That's the most question. How do you know it has to be the woman? She's the baal of the carbon. Says the Gemara. I'll tell you no. Asya, we have gezer shava yod mishlomim. From the tenufa of the chaz of a shoik that it says by shlomim that you wave the chest and the front foot. That we know is going to be bebailim. It says the Gemara ksiv hacha. It says over here by the minchas soita the lokach hakoyin miyada isha and right the hainif. Uksiv hasam. What does it say about the chaz of a shoik? It says yodov tivienu es ishe Hashem lehainif oisay tnufel fnei Hashem. Now who's bringing it? Who's bringing it, guys? The Baal. V'nolmodim echa misheni ma kam besoita nasas hatnufel yidei koyin. Just like by the Sotah, it mentions Kayin, Af lahalam by Shlomim, it's the Kayin. And Ma lahalam by Shlomim, Bibailim, Af kan, so too, by Sotah, Bibailim. Good? In other words, I know Baal from Shlomim. I know Kohen from Sotah. Gesei Rishava Yad Yad. Now I know both Sotah and Shlomim require what? Both Kohen like by Sotah and Baal like by Shlomim. I know both. It says the Gemara, okay, side how's this accomplished? He puts his hand underneath the hands of the Baal, Umenif, and they go ahead and do it together. That's the way we go. Now, says the Gemara, the Hanif Kamatz Hayamashka, Yakach Machves Minchasa. It says, guys, first, they would do Hagasha, Kamatz, they would give it a drink, and afterwards they would mock the Mincha. But 1 second, if you look, guys, look what it says. Look at the Mishnah, guys. 4 lines down. Hanif v'higish kamatz v'hikdir mashka, and then what? And do what? Says the Gemara. Hanif v'higish kamatz v'hikdir hamashka v'akach makves minchasa ha'akra. You're already burnt. You're already a mark of it. It says you a mark of it. It says you a mark of it. So hachi kamar. Say the menachas kesa. What's the order of the minchas? Hanif, first you do tenufa. V'higish, then you go bring it to the southwest corner. Kamatz, you do kamitza. V'hikdir, you burn the kaimitz. V'ashar nechol kahanim, and the rest is speaking about the kahanim. In other words, we didn't discuss drinking at all. The Mishnah was telling you the din in the mincha, what exactly you do. Then ubahashaka gufa, regarding exactly when it transpired, the drinking, the woman drinking, that pligir of Shimon Rabbanan. The Rabbanan Sari Mashke first would drink the akach makves minchasa. Reb Shimon Savar makves minchasa v'akach mashka shenemar v'acha yashka. After we should drink. Okay, now, however, v'mhishke v'akach hikves minchasa k'sher. Okay, now the Gemara gets a little, I should say, challenging. It gets interesting. Okay, so what I'd like to do is the Gemara outside, guys. Let's do a chart. Let's go through the chart and we'll get a feel for exactly what's going on. This chart I know I sent you. What happened? Okay, now we're going to have a machloikis between Rabbi Akiva and Reb Shimon. Anyway, I have no problem. I take my phones usually to send things that guys don't even look at. Now, says, guys, go look. This is the chart, the first one, Rabbi Akiva, Reb Shimon. They both hold that you're makriv and then you go ahead and drink. Good? Both Rabbi Akiva and Reb Shimon hold your makriv and then you drink. Good? Now, says Rabbi Akiva, if b'di'eved you go ahead and change the order, if you drink first, it's not going to work. Says Reb Shimon, in mashka koydem b'sksheri it's kasha. B'di'eved. In other words, he said that in the Mishnah. Again, that's the nafkamina between the two. Guys, they're both of the opinion, first you should go ahead and bring the carbon and then drink. However, let's say you change the order, there's the machlokes. Rabbi Akiva says it won't work, and Rabbi Shimon says it will. Next, what about if you go ahead, you're supposed to first bring in, let's say you're moichik the Megillah before the Haktara, right? Now let's say, which you're supposed to do. You're supposed to be moichik the Megillah before you do it, right? So then you would make it a drink against her will. Rabbi Shimon says, hey, mashkin. So this is not what you're supposed to do. When are you supposed to race? You're supposed to delay the eraser as much as possible. So watch, guys, outside. You bring the carbon, good, and now you can give it a drink. You'd first then erase it and give it a drink. You don't erase, bring carbon, drink. You want to delay the erase. Why? Because maybe somewhere along the line she'll admit it, and what? And you want to erase Hashem's name. So you want to delay that as much as possible. Okay? What happens if you change the order? So you're supposed to delay it, but you went ahead and you erased it before you brought the kaimitz. Says Rav Shimon, you're not going to drink. Says Rabbi Akiva, we're going to force her to drink. What happens if you erase it, right, the Megillah after Haktara, right, like you're supposed to, and she says, I don't want to drink, then you're going to go ahead and make her go ahead and drink against her will. At that point in time, if she didn't admit it, we're going to make her drink against her will, okay? So again, according to this, Rabbi Akiva is saying the Mechika is ma'akif. In other words, very important. It says Rabbi Kiva, once you meichik, no backsies. There's no going back. If you given a chance, you bought the carbon, we were meichik, and now you say, I don't want to drink, we're going to force you to drink. Good? Now, it says in the Torah 3 times. It says in the Parsha, guys, it says 3 times in the Parsha the following. Again, looking at the Parsha, it says it 3 times. Pasuk Chav Daled, let's get it straight. The Hishka es Isha es Me'amarim, that's Pasuk Chav Daled. Pasuk Chav Hey, we have the Mincha, and Pasuk Chav Vav, it says you then Achar Yashka es Isha es Amayim, and after you go ahead and bring the carbon Mincha, then she drinks. Then Chavav, it says Vishka es Amayim. Good. Now, which one of these 3 things teaches me the din of exactly when you drink? We have 1 before the mincha and 2 after the mincha. Good. So take a look at the second chart. Now take a look at the second chart. Just find it. According to the Rabbanan, guys, the first hashaka that's mentioned, I illustrated with the you see the highlighter. So good. Watch. The Hishka Kama, the first one's Legufei, to tell me that first you drink and then you bring the carbon. That's the Rabbanan, guys. You got it? The first one of the 3 is mentioned before the Mincha. That you're going to go ahead, what? Teaches me? What then? The Chachamim's din in the Mishnah, that what? First you bring the first you drink and then you bring the carbon. Reb Shimon's of the opinion, no. Reb Shimon's of the opinion, V'acha Yishke, the middle one, that's the one that teaches me. That's the one that teaches me. And according to Rabbi Akiva, it's the latter one, L'gufa Makar V'achach Mashke. It's the last one that goes ahead. I think that. I thought that was a different shot.
I think it's just the market and entry point.
What?
I thought you said you delayed the
Yeah.
drinking until the end. So
Because no, the Rabbanan disagree. Yeah. No, I told you the din of Reb Shimon, Rabbi Akiva, right?
Okay.
Right. So the Chachamim, Reb Chaim, their hashak is the one that takes place that we mentioned before, right? That's where they know it from. Okay, so let's see what we got. This is going to be a summary in the end. So we're dealing with these three Lashonos of hashaka. What are we going to do with these 3 Lashonos? What do you mean?
Oh,
Well, no. Again, you're right. No, the top. Again, maybe both. We have 2 people who hold first mincha, then drinking. That's Rabbi Kiva Shimon. We have a 3rd opinion. Okay, so now, Tan Rabbanan. Okay, it says v'hishka. It says v'hishka. Why do you have to say the first one, guys? Why do you have to say the first one? Pasuk of Daled. Ma tamid loimer, but kvar nemar v'hishka. It says in Pasuk of Zayin, right? It says the last one. It says in Pasuk Chav Zayin. It says in the Hishka. It's where are you Pasukim? Okay, it says in Pasuk Chav Zayin. It says v'Hishka, right? So says the Gemara. This teaches me if the Megillah was machak, but Oimeres ain't a shaisa. So guys, look at Rabbi Akiva in the chart, the bottom line, right? Rabbi Akiva learns from, it says makriv v'akach mashke, right? That you're going to go ahead and bring the carbon. Now, why does he use the first one for? Nimcha shloi kedin, if you would do mechika before you bought the carbon, mashkel about karcha, you're going to force her against the will. That's what he holds. You're going to force her against the will. If you're mochik the Megillah before the carbon, right? Before the carbon, you're going to go ahead against the will. That's Rabbi Kiva. Rav Shimon Aimer, v'yachi yashka. He learns in the second pasuk, guys. Look at the chart. You'll see him in the middle. Rav Shimon learns in the middle one, right? V'achi yashka is a Sotah, the middle one. That's pasuk chavav. Ma tamid loymar, right? Why do you have to say pasuk chavav? But like for nemar v'hishka, he has pasuk of Zion. By the way, I think this chart is wrong. Anyway, Magid Gimel Devarim that are ma'akvin ba. There are 3 things that are ma'akiv. Actually, korav kaimitz until you ma'akiv the kaimitz, v'yachlei nimchak Megillah, v'yachlei the Kabbalah Shvua. The three things that I have to take before is one, the kaimitz, two, the mechika, and she has to be Kabbalah Shvua. Now, achlei karev kaimitz, Rav Shimon l'tamei damar, makrabes minchasa v'yakav mashka achlei nimcha Megillah. Right. So first you makrav the mincha, and afterwards you mashka until you delay the bringing of the Megillah. Ela my mashkala. What do you do with the last one? Rav Ashi le'nitzurcha. You need a l'rishimas nicker. Later of Shimon, you needed that what? That the roshim should be nicker. That if it's not totally erased, it's not good. It's got to be totally erased. To exclude rishume nicker. In other words, if the letters after you put it in the water are still discernible, it's not good. Hudloi shasya. That what? Mishta hudloi shasya. Right? Would you write it with such ink? Why are you writing it all? Says nispa. So you're learning b'chtei. Okay, so guys, let's see the shita. We have the shita of Rav Shimon and the shita of Rabbi Akiva. You could look at the top, we'll look at the bottom. Let's look at the bottom. Shitas of Shimon. It says v'acha yashka. Afterwards, you give the Sotah to drink. That's going to teach me that first you do akrava, then you do mashka. Rabbi Akiva, he says that's the last one. Makrav yakach mashka. That first, I guess he learns it from the last, the Hishka Basra. He learns it from the last one. Okay, what do they do with the first one? We didn't discuss yet. What do they do with what does Rav Shimon do? What does Rav Shimon do with the last one? He learns that what? What does Rav Shimon do with the last one? Vishka Basra, that if it's nimchaka kedin correctly, then mashkala bal karcha. You'll force her against the will. Okay, Rabbi Akiva. What does he do with the middle one? That Rishum Nika ain't a mashka. That if it's discernible, you won't go ahead and drink. Okay. Says the Gemara Viper. Let's see. What's the machlokes? Tilsa kroikasi. There's three psukim. The Hishka Kama, the Acha Yashka, the Hishka Basra. Rabbanan Safri, the Rabbanan Chaim Lax, the Rabbanan who hold the Hishka Kama Lekufei. That what? Shem Mashka, first you'll drink. The achakach makrives minchasa, right, guys? First you're going to drink, and you have to be the mincha. Got it on the chart. The first yellow, guys. The first yellow on the chart, right? That's the ishkakama. Next, v'yachi yashkami boiler li rishume nika, right? The second one he uses that what? That the roshim is nika. You can't give to drink. The enamasha. The hashaka basra is sheim nimchacha megillah v'oimeres ein shaisa ma'arinaysa. You're going to force her umashka sabal karcha. That's the shita going across the top line, guys. Top line, three psukim, right? The Hishka Basra, Kama, that means before the mincha, you're going to go ahead right and drink. What about Achiyashka? That if it's discernible, she's not going to drink that. And then finally, the last one, that it was nimchak. Once it's meichek, we're going to force her to drink. Now, what about Rav Shimon? Back in the Gemara, Rav Shimon Saba, the Achiyashka legufei. You need Achiyashka in the middle pasuk for itself. Shemakves minchasa v'yakach mashka. That you make the mincha and then you give it a drink. Hishka kama shem hishka v'yakach hikves minchasa kshera b'di'eved. You're supposed to go ahead and have the carbon first, but if you drink first, b'di'eved it's going to be okay. The hishka basar, the latter one, shem nimcha megillah v'amein shaisa ma'aron esa mashka sabal karcha. Okay, now why did Rabbanan not agree with Rav Shimon? Rabbanan b'di'eved le pasuk kra, guys. The Torah is l'chatchila. The Torah is not a b'di'evet place. It's not going to tell you a b'di'evet kedin, right? So therefore, they disagree with the first one, and they hold the chiddush that you drink and then you go ahead. Now Vatanya, right? Now the sub Rabbi Akiva mashkan sub al karcha. Now we had Rabbi Akiva sheet, the guys. Rabbi Akiva says you're going to force her to drink. That's the first one, right? You're going to force her to drink. Guys, the first column, right? Rabbi Akiva, v'hishka kama, nimcha shloi kedin, mashkan labal karcha. If the mechika took place before, you're going to force her to drink. Right? The Gemara, v'sab Rabbi Akiva, mashkan labal karcha, v'tanya, Rabbi Yehuda Aimer, kal b'shel barzel, some type of iron teeth they put in her mouth, matilin l'teich piyah, shem nimcha ka megillah, if the megillah was machak, v'amru, and then she said, einish shaisa, ma'aron so mashkan so, we're going to force her, bal karcha. Amr Akiva, 1 second. What's the purpose, guys, of what? Of the get it to admit, correct? Guys, she's saying I'm not drinking. What's she saying? I'm guilty. I'm guilty, right? So in other words, Rabbi Akiva is saying now, why force her? Read the Gemara Kasha. Rabbi Akiva says you force her. Once she says I'm not drinking, we got what we wanted. We got what we wanted. She admitted it. Says the Gemara, says the Gemara, Ella, what do you have to say? Actually, Karva Kaimetz, before you finish bringing the carbon Yachalaksabar. Mishakarva Kaimetz in Yachalaksabar. In other words, once the Kaimetz is brought, then we'll force her. So when don't we force her? Before the Kaimetz is brought. But once the Kaimetz is brought, we'll force her. The Gemara will time for 1 second. Mishakarva Kaimetz in Yachalaksabar. Guys, 1 second. You're telling me that once she says I'm not drinking, she's admitting it, right? So Mali before the Kaimetz, Mali after the Kaimetz. Why are you going to force her after the Kaimetz? Says Gemara like Kash, you're right. Hadika Hajaba Machmas Resisa, Bahadika Hajaba Machmas Berusa. There's 2 ways. You could look at the woman. The woman said she's holding strong. She's holding strong. She's holding strong. She's holding strong. She's very confident. She doesn't look nervous at all. 0. You go ahead. And all of a sudden she says, I'm not drinking. Why? Because she knew all along that she had this, she had pas pasalo. She knew once she admits it, good, forget about living with her husband, but she knows she won't have to drink. So therefore, when she says Ein Shaisa, we'll say she's tamei. Because we saw in her that there was confidence. There was no question about her drinking. And she was just saying, she waited till the last moment. Shenkin, if she's shaking, right? Really, she thinks that she's mesupik, and so. When won't we force the issue? When she's sure. She says Ein Shaisa. When will we force the issue? When she says she's scared, because then we'll know that the only reason she's doing it is because she's scared it might work, and in other words, she's not sure. Initially she went through the process, so she's not exactly sure. But since she's trembling, she's not exactly sure. We'll make her drink. About whether it's going to work or not. But, again, she could be she's tahar. It could be she's tahar. She's still scared because it might work. Again, you take poison. You're playing Russian roulette. So guys, look Russian. Like kasha. Here's the way you read it. Kol machmas b'yusa, that she's so self-confident and assured. Klal lo shasya, whether before kaimitz, after kaimitz, she's not going to drink. Right? Machmas resisa, then it depends. Actually, karva kaimitz, that katilei emchik megillah, that of course you're going to do again. What do we say? You're going to delay the eraser as much as possible. So if I didn't bring the kaimitz yet, then we'll believe her. But once you bought the kaimitz already, and did the megillah, inami emchik megillah. If you're Meichik Megillah, the Shalai Kedin, Rabbi Akiva is of the opinion, if you're Meichik Shalai Kedin, Kahanim Demachki Matzi Hajabe, right? The Shalai Kedin of the Kahanim Demachke, Matzi Hajabe. However, Mishakoros the Karmen is the Bedin of it, Kahanim Demachke, then La Matzi Hajabe. So that's what Rabbi Akiva is saying. That Rabbi Akiva said that you force her is once there's been Mechika of the Megillah, and after the Kaimitz is bought. Because again, you did it correctly. You bought the kaimitz and you were moichik, and now you're nervous. Don't worry about it. If you're tar, you'll be okay. If, however, she is self-confident, no, it doesn't make a difference. We're not going to make her drink. And that's pshat over here. Now, we got a problem with Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Akiva, in one place says mechika we're going to force, and the other place it says the kaimitz is going to force. What's the criteria to force her? Is it the bringing of the kaimitz or is it the mechika? Further more kasha. Kasha Rabbi Akiva, Rabbi Akiva. We have a question of Rabbi Akiva on Rabbi Akiva. We have a kasha of Rabbi Akiva on Rabbi Akiva. What exactly is the kasha? Hasam, or initially, mechika ma'akfa. In other words, once you're mechik, you're going to force the issue. Once you do the kaimitz, you're going to force the issue. It says, I'll leave with Rabbi Akiva. There's 2 tanaim because Rabbi Akiva. Iboilahu. Amra eini shaisa machmas b'yusa. She says, I'm not going to. Because amra shaisa. And then she says, I will drink. Initially she says I won't, and then she says I will. Mahu. she's beduka, and right. The kivin the achsak nafshe betuma leimatzis hajaba. Once she was machzach herself as a site of vadai, we won't let her drink. Dilma kivin the amr shaisani gal yadaiti the machmas be susa who the amr that she was scared, and that's why she said it. And the Gemara says teku, it remains a shaila. Amr avur the Shmuel sarach says avur the Shmuel sarach sheyitin mar l'teichamayim. You have to put something bitter in the water. You have to put something bitter in the water. My taima damakra may hamorim shamorim kfar. It means water that's bitter. It was bitter before you put the parsha in. You don't like dry wine?